Oh, he's great. I love it. It is so nice to not have to train somebody. Like, seriously, like we have a very, very difficult inventory system and we're trying to simplify it as much as possible. But when you are sending stuff to a fulfillment center, you're using WFS, you're using Amazon FBA. I mean, it is just a nightmare. So,
Good. So my just for context for everyone else, my head of operations virtual assistant in the Philippines, Ferdy's his name. He went with I sold my company the end of last year, and the guy who purchased it just ended up laying off a few people, not because they're bad, just trying to cut costs and stuff. And so he let go of my head of operations, and so I posted saying, "Hey, he's available for work now," and he got a lot of inbound stuff. So, Kari, I think you won out, and I asked him. He said, "Oh, he said that he was excited to learn a lot from you. He was very impressed with your operations and stuff. So hopefully it works out great for you guys."
thank you. Yeah, I scooped him up. I knew how much he was in need, and yeah, yeah, I needed him.
Good, good. I'm glad we found a home for him. I could tell he was upset getting laid off never is fun, right?
Yeah.
But I told him too when we sold the company. I said, first of all, I told the buyer, I'm like, don't, Ferdy's the best, honestly, in the company, right? So I'm like, if you're gonna lay anyone off, not him. I was like, but it's your choice, right? And I also told Ferdy, I'm like, hey, like, I'll make sure no matter what happens, we'll get you hooked up and set up. So we did, so it's good.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's working out great. And it just is so nice to finally start being able to take stuff off of my plate because I was spending hours and hours a week on inventory.
Awesome. Well, good. And I'm hoping Inventory Hero helps you guys a lot too. Should help a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
How's it been going so far with that?
So I love Inventory Hero. I almost, if you wouldn't have posted 30, I'd probably still trying to be doing inventory on my own. Um, and it is really a great system for forecasting. And Ferdy's actually really even showed me a couple different things that I had no idea that we could use in there. So um, it's I feel more confident in my decisions of what to send into Amazon and when to send it. And so that's been a thing because we've been off with forecasting for the last year because we keep growing. And so you can only forecast so much, but unless you're, meeting that demand, it's um, it's really difficult. And so like we're still going out of stock of stuff, but now I have a plan and I know that I need to be ordering triple so that not only are we meeting the demand of growing double of what we are, but we're also having a safety inventory level. And then when you go into Inventory Hero, we've actually pulled up products where you can see for the whole entire year how our products are the consistency of the way that people purchase them. And you can see our sales dip when it's that time of the year. And then when there's specials and stuff, when they go up and then when they go down. And Inventory Hero is taking all of that into account. So, and then giving us those inventory numbers for those times a year where we're a little slower and then adjusted for times when we're a little higher. And then also, if there's a seasonality or a special sale going on, um, determining the different level from that point as well. So it's a really good system and I've used a lot of different systems and this by far is my favorite.
Awesome. Well, that makes me very happy. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Inventory Hero is an app that we've been building for last few months. Link is in the chat there if you want to check it out. But okay, well, I wanted to talk to everyone today about, I've heard it's just always fun getting smart people together in the room. Speaking of smart people, John Aspinall and Rob Green are here, which is great. Some of my favorite smart people. I also have my business partner on here too, although he's driving right now, Brian Jones. But I wanted to kind of open it up, and obviously, I just want to talk about any AI stuff that's fun, and kind of talk about the new latest stuff in our industry, AI for e-commerce and kind of online digital marketing space. And of course, the big one that came out this last week was that Anthropic announced and shared with everyone Fable, their new model. So now that it went from 4.8 to now we're at 5.0. So like the next best generation is here. And Fable is kind of there's the mythical mythos that came out was like 6, 8 weeks ago. And Fable is kind of like the successor or kind of the public release version of Mythos. So I wanted to open it up and kind of just talk to people like how are people finding it? How are people liking it? And just have like an open discussion on that.
Well, I can tell you what, I'm going to be very sad when it's no longer in the max plan and it's on API pay as you go because it's leagues ahead of Opus. There's no comparison in what it can do.
Yeah. And just to keep people in, Anthropic said, although they change stuff all the time, they said that it's going to be inside the subscription plan for the next 2 weeks, and then they're taking it away. So just giving us a little teaser, a little appetizer. And then supposedly they're going to go to full API. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Jen, go ahead. I saw you on mute.
I was just going to say, I noticed that. So at the start, I was like, this isn't really much difference. I don't really notice anything. But then when I started, I think I was doing more kind of complicated stuff, like PPC stuff. It was much better. And I was like, oh, I like this. But then today I've just I just got back and it says like I'm 75% through my weekly limit. And I'm like, oh shit, because this is like the $200 plan I'm on in this computer. And I'm like, maybe I don't like it so much. I'm gonna have to I don't know what I'm gonna do now because I'm like, I really have to run certain things. I can't let it max out, and that's the biggest plan. So yeah, sucks.
Yeah, it is chewing through tokens. I mean I kind of had a hard time chewing through my plan with
Yeah.
Opus. I'm like, meh, I don't know. I have like 6 or 7 sessions going at one time. I'll say like go as long as you can and still won't get to the end, but Fable was able to do that. John, you had a fun video that you posted last day or two about it chewing through your tokens.
Yeah, so I put it on Fable Ultra Code, all the way maxed up, and I put it through a workflow. The interesting thing with Fable is that if you use advisory mode on, um, you Fable for whatever reason can't be an advisor. Anyone else notice that it's running advisor mode? So if you have advisor mode on, it'll go to try and queue an advisor, but then you get an error that says Fable can't be an advisor, which is very weird. But I ran through a workflow and I had the usage meter open on another screen, and in like 15 minutes, it was totally gone for the 5 hour limit and didn't even finish the workflow. Although in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have put it on ultra code because it was going to take longer to do stuff. Ultra code doesn't always mean it's going to be super fast. It means it's just going to do a crap ton of thinking. So it didn't even get through that workflow. But I think the interesting thing is, like, I'm telling folks that are just like operators and business owners and stuff, like, you don't need to use Fable. It's cool, it's great, it's awesome, but you don't really need to be doing it. Well, I think a better way to look at it is like the Claude Code workflows are really compelling because you can kick off a workflow and something like, editing a line in a catalog file or, transferring data from here to here. You can kick that off with Haiku. and have Haiku run like 100 agents, and then have Opus be like the orchestrator and leader and do all this other kind of stuff, which to me is still more like, it's a lot better to do that than just to run through Opus 4.8 on an entire workflow. Then you're chewing through your limit, just because you think that Opus 4.8 is better at putting this piece of text over here than that, and it's not, right? So for the basic fundamentals, like those workflows, if anyone's ran a workflow in Claude Code, it's wild what it can do.
I agree with John. I think the workflows are the biggest update, more so than Fable, in my opinion. I use them all the time. And for those of you that have spun up sub agents but not used the workflow feature yet, the difference is the agents that it spins up, which is 16 up to 16 concurrently, will actually analyze each other's work, whereas sub agents are more of clones of each other. So strongly encourage you guys to use the workflows features if you can. And then I just do Opus 4.8 for workflows or Fable. If you guys are burning through your token, and I'm a heavy user. If you guys are burning through tokens that fast, I would have it analyze your logs and find out if there are opportunities. Maybe you got too many MCP servers set up. Maybe you got too many skills set up. Maybe there's opportunities for you to refine it. And a lot of times I see a lot of people use their same session far too long. I know we've talked about this before, Andrew, but if you guys don't have custom status line at the bottom of Claude Code, if you're using it in terminal, you got to put it on there. I never get to yellow. It's green up to 50%. Yellow is like, I think 50 to 70 or something like that. But I get off that immediately. There's just no reason to be doing that. So you got to have a custom status line on there. So mine shows the context window. It shows the 5-hour usage and it shows the weekly usage.
How do you get that status line?
Ask it to put it on there for you. Just tell Claude Code to do it. They'll do it for you.
There's actually like status line. You can just do /status line and it'll set it up for you in terminal too.
But there's a bunch of different looks. I'll just give you mine. I'll just put it in the chat right now. I like the way mine, I've played around with it a little bit. I like how this looks.
That's awesome, Rob. I'm opening up my screen now to show what my status line looks like. Or I'm getting it ready here. Oh, awesome. Nice. Love how sharing you are, Rob.
Oh, the percent. Yeah, I have to fix mine for the I care more about the 5-hour, like when I'm in something and doing it, not so much me personally the 7-day, but the 5-hour is good because I keep on doing like /usage to just double check my 5-hour, especially
when this just gives you everything all at once and it's every session, so you don't have to look anywhere else.
I did make something before where it took all the context when you're chatting out into a sandbox and only brought back the answer into the chat. But I must admit, since Fable, I got Fable to update it, and there was virtually no difference now. So I don't know if Fable is automatically kind of moving stuff out of the context of the main chat. But before, when I ran it, the same test, one of them, when it got to 270,000 tokens, that was it. Without it, with the app, it only used 87,000 tokens, and the answers were still the same. But Fable, when I did it, it was exactly the same. So I think they've made some other changes under the hood.
I'm sure it said that it was automatically clearing stuff. Because I remember seeing it on the screen and I was like, well, that's good because I never remember to do that.
I'm going to share my screen just to give people. So one of my big things with all this stuff is I love having all of our super smart everyone chatting here, and I know I get a lot of feedback from people saying like some of it's a little like very over my head. I don't know what the hell people are talking about with workflow, context, whatever things, and so I want to trying to make it approachable to everyone here. And so I'm just going to show here a little window to kind of show you guys kind of what we're talking about here. So this is that status window, and this is how I have mine set up. I have the context here, and context is how much it is, how much is in this session alone. This is kind of like just just this window, right? So you can see like this just, and I'm in a terminal here. I know like a lot of people use Cowork. And this is just same kind of same kind of thing. It's just a different app I'm using, right? And so here's the context. So this is 22% filled up for just this session, and this context is 7% for this session. And then you can see my 5 hour and 7 day usage windows. And so I've already filled up about half of my 5 hour window, and then about a quarter of my 7 day window. So, and this helps me a lot, kind of know, like last night I was hacking together stuff and I saw I was at like 87% 5 hour window. And I'm like, okay, can only do two more things. So I'm gonna go to sleep now. So I'm like, hey, Claude, do two more things, but don't plow past my 5 hour window, please. And so this helps a lot, making sure I don't go over the limits.
But where do you clip it? Like for me, for like context window in one session, like if it hits like 40%, like I'm done. Like I'm starting a new one. I usually don't let it go above 40% because I feel like you get context rot after that.
Yeah, so I actually did a whole presentation just last week on memory management for AIs. And I will go through my whole presentation, but I have a really good slide that has that exact answer in it, John. So I'll pull that up here in a second. But the short answer is you're right. Anything under 40%, and really 60% is you're pretty solid. There should be no context rot. Anything beyond or above 80%, it starts to degrade quite a bit.
I
See,
wrote
I'm not sorry, Rob. I was gonna say, I'm not sure about that because I've seen some videos where they've tested it technically, and they were finding over about 200, 250,000, they were starting to get context rot. And maybe not always, but quite a lot of the time. So I tend to cut off around 250,000 now, so 25%, and I'll have it summarized and go into a new chat.
I've read a couple papers that say what Jake just said. So I wouldn't think of it in percentages, guys. And the reason why is that your context windows are different depending what model you're on, right? So ChatGPT 5.5 has a different model. So I do what Jake does. I look at 200 to 250,000 as that's kind of my limit. And obviously that's much more in ChatGPT 5.5 if you're running Codex or anything like that than it is in Opus. So I've seen a few papers on it regarding the actual window, how much you're using, regardless of how big the context window is. And then I think maybe best practices around that. It's really simple, guys. You can just ask it to create a handoff for you to the next session. And most of the time it'll create like a handoff document.md and just take that or have it access that in your next session. So it's got a clear understanding of where you are, but it's a condensed version. So you don't eat up another 50,000 tokens when you move over to the new session.
That's interesting, Rob, because so even if you have like a 200,000, if your context window is 200K or a million, you still kind of cut it at that 200, quarter million.
Yeah, and that's what I
leave the context window at 200K then, because I mean you can change that setting in all the models and just say leave it at 200, and that way you never exceed that then.
Yeah, I don't want it to compact on its own though, so I don't want to trigger that compaction. I mean, it's interesting as you get deeper into these projects. I feel like, especially with Fable, I've had to move to the next session a lot faster because I'm burning and workflows also. I'm burning a lot of tokens in that session. So I feel like I've just got to be on top of it a little bit more. But I mean, Claude will solve this in, next couple months where it'll have an automatic, it'll move over to a new session or something.
I'll tell you what, talking about Codex as well, I've been playing around with that. I'm relatively impressed with GPT 5.5 in Codex. It's done some really good work. I thought I'd use this more.
It's crushing at images right now. It's head and shoulders above everyone else. And John Aspinall, I know you're pretty keen on Codex right now.
Yeah, Codex it's a non-negotiable. Like there's no point in entertaining patching Claude Code to do images and APIs and stuff like that, because you could build out whole entire skills, which is what I'm training folks on how to do now, where you're just giving it reference points and saying, great, build me out the whole entire image stack over here, and it's going to go and do it. And it's going to go and do it. It's going to, give its own quality control. So it's like leaps and bounds. It's insane, like what you can do. And then especially with like goals, where if you just give it like an image stack rollout, which is locking in fidelity of like these items here compared to what good looks like, you can give it a goal and say, cool, goals, process these. And this is just an example with 3 of them, and it's able to do it at scale. You can give it 300 and walk away. And it's not going to stop until it's done. So when people talk about, having third-party apps and for creative and designers and all that kind of stuff, like, yeah, that's the way of the dodo bird, because you can scale this so quickly. And you could do this in Claude Code, but you have to have the OpenAI API connected, and it's just one more thing that could break, and it's one more thing that's an expense, and it's not a huge expense, but we're talking 5 to 10 cents per image, and if you're doing that at scale, it's still more than a $200 plan that's going to be all inclusive with it.
And I'll tell you what I like about Codex as well. Remotion is built into it. It's just a plugin you can just go in and click. Whereas Claude, you've kind of got to install it all, and sometimes it fucks up. So I had Codex actually make a website. I used the open design skill, which it converted a few things so it's friendly to Codex, but GPT 5.5 did that itself. It then helped with Remotion and that, and it actually made a really pretty website. I was very impressed. It was as good as Claude.
Remotion and Claude Code with Fable is bananas. The quality of the video and the ability to put in screenshots and scrolling is absolutely insane. It's better than most video editors.
Yeah, I think Remotion's a must-have if you do anything that requires video. It's superb.
Well, the big thing also, like for me, I use Claude Code inside of Obsidian and Terminal, because that's where I do all written content, Second Brain, PKM, all that kind of stuff. So that's where that lives. But for me, I typically never ever use the Claude app, and I'm always against like apps. But the Codex app is truly a super app, and it's going to do laps around Anthropic for the simple fact that it has a built-in internal browser inside of it. And they released about 2 weeks ago that when it first updated, it didn't have saved logins. 2 weeks ago, it updated. Now you have saved logins. So now, instead of controlling your external browser with a Chrome extension that opens up another window that you could potentially close, and Amazon still will mitigate and gate you on scraping certain things, for whatever reason, inside of Codex, the internal browser has no issue doing it. So it's something like this. I have like a listing audit over here that opens the internal browser and natively goes through all of this and is able to pull out a huge amount of reviews to do that listing audit, which to me is wild, because technically, once they start opening up like bookmarks or save pages over here, I no longer need a browser, right? Because everything I could do is right from this one app. So think of like conversations over here, instead of, you could even do it like that. So instead of having tabs in your browser or like bookmarks, you're having saved conversations of different websites. So I could have one over here that's just LinkedIn that has LinkedIn saved and open. I could have one over here that's Seller Central, has Seller Central open. So that's something that like the Claude app can't do or hasn't done just yet, which I think is a huge deal.
That's killer.
Yeah, I think it's their Atlas browser, wasn't it? They incorporated, and it's
That's
good.
trash. Yeah, the Atlas browser is trash. I've tried I have browser shiny object syndrome. I've downloaded every browser. The browser that I use right now is called Helium. It's literally like the lightest weight Chromium browser, just to be able to have Chrome extensions, because Chrome is a RAM hog. Even like Dia or Arc, as good as they are, they're huge RAM hogs. Helium is like the lightest of lightweight, stripped down, not a RAM hog browser. But that Atlas one was trash. I tried that for like 2 weeks, and it was like there's no value. And I wasn't in Codex at all until Image 2 came out. That's when the huge value changed for me, because then it became, okay, now you can do creatives at scale. So not just for Amazon, but also for ads, also for websites, also for a ton of stuff.
Nice.
I'll tell you another one that's good at going past firewalls is Manus. I find if I'm logged into something that Claude and that they still can't have a look, Manus can just go through and pretty much rip off the entire site if I'm logged in. And I've done a few things. I've joined for the 7-day free trial and just taken everything from the site. And
I'm
Manus
just
did it.
not a I'm not on the Manus train, because for me, I don't like tokens and rate limits, and you have this amount of usage and that amount of usage. Even though Claude and Codex has, it's a little bit more agnostic and free run with these kind of things. Anything where it's like, okay, you have this amount of credits, or there's paywalls for this, and this amount of credits for our agents did this, just not for me. I always like to see like where like can I do pretty much everything that Manus can do in Codex? Yes. So why do I need Manus? That's my thought process. Is like, what tool can I triple down on that's all inclusive? Think of like, do I want to go to vacation in Florida, or do I want to go to like Mexico where it could be all inclusive and I don't have to worry about like drinks or food? You know, that's that whole concept of it's all inclusive and you really don't have to have any overages if you don't need to.
Yeah, what it is I found with Manus is that it doesn't seem to have some of the guardrails in. Maybe that's because it's a Chinese model natively. But it will basically hack a site for you that's got paywalls in front of it that will stop Claude and that. It doesn't seem to stop Manus. It will go in and take whatever you want. Whereas Claude will sometimes say, oh, you can't do that. You know, that's copyright. Manus never seems to chuck up, oh, that's someone else's data. It'll just take it for me. Which I find quite useful sometimes.
Nice. Yeah, they're probably a little bit less concerned about IP since they're Chinese based. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the chat here and I see a couple of questions and lots of stuff. So I'm just gonna kind of roll back a little bit. And Elizabeth Green asked a question about using workflows for your website setup. Uh, Elizabeth, I don't know if you can speak out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I've been here listening, and basically I know Claude can be, or anything, like a great way thing is like, hey, help optimize the website, right? We're trying to get more into blogging. I am terrified because I've done some really dumb things and basically like taken our site completely offline. In like trying to like sub-host something, like in terms of like just letting it, like the one I did was like Lovable or whatever. It's like, hey, do you want me to help host? Yeah. Turn the entire freaking website into the Lovable app. I'm like, that's great. So obviously I did something wrong. So I'm like terrified, to be honest, about like hooking up Claude to WordPress and being like, all right, cool, do your thing. Because we obviously already have our main website there, and I want to be careful about guardrails and letting it do something stupid, because unfortunately I'm out of my technical depth. So if something goes wrong, I don't know how to like revert it, or
So
I don't trust myself to know how to revert it.
So I'll just say this, just because I've done this multiple times. So like on my own website, because the value of blog writing is key for like SEO and stuff. Like I get
Yeah.
it. I just have no time to do it. So like
Right.
on both of my websites, every single day, a blog goes up. That's super. I have to fix it because I have two going up per day. I don't know if that's good or bad. But every single day, very, very specific. So on Ecom Ghost, it's all talking about LinkedIn, right? So when you go to this, the big value is that in some articles, you can see they're pretty comprehensive, but in some articles, it'll even link back, right? Which is strong for like AEO, SEO, all that kind of stuff. So to link back to other articles that have been written. So I have this set up through Claude Code for both my websites, which are based on Vercel. But the other thing is for Velocity, the agency I'm at now, they're on WordPress, right? So
Okay.
the images suck. So it's only for SEO. But you can see over here, we set it up where every single day it rotates by author. So you can even put as many different people as you want, right? And different times and different cadences, and then go out there and it'll go and write the comprehensive article, right? So a blog post or whatever it is. So you can see over here, and we've noticed like the marketing team has told me we're getting inbound traffic and inbound queries that are being tagged back to these pieces of content, whether it's coming from them finding it directly on the website, which I doubt, or through like ChatGPT or search. So we ran this for about 4 weeks. You could see like there's a ton of content on here. And it works, right? So from firsthand, like this is the WordPress example. So like I have it where I get an automation, which I hate this kind of stuff, but like you could see every single day, I'll get like okay, here's my draft for this, but also daily content published. So Ecom Ghost, here's a link, Aspie, here's the link, and Velocity, here's the link and what it is. So you can like really like cultivate what the messaging is and like hook it up to like your tone of voice. I have mine going through a Perplexity API for search, but you could just use a regular native Claude search, like for like high level Google search or web fetch. But no, it can be done and be done at scale. So
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I guess my assumption was I know it can be done. I know it can be done at scale. I know Claude can be done for writing. I guess my thing is, how are you figuring out quality control, or how did you hook it up so it doesn't go rogue and like just post here, just update here? I guess that's what I'm nervous about because I've been dumb in the past.
I think what I would do in that situation is create just a sample website or like a brand new test website where you can just play around and then you can just run into walls and do anything you want and it won't even matter.
No, that's smart.
I set up a human versus automation rule set that it basically automated itself. I told it what I wanted to monitor and what I need reports on and what I had to approve, and then I told it what it should do autonomously, like 404 errors and catalog pages and URL directs. It can figure that out. Just send me a report and make sure you check your broken links and do it correctly when you're done. But other things like creating blogs, Google Merchant Center approval, stuff like that, I need to review. So send me a message in Slack with an approval sheet. I'll run through it and send you a yay or nay on it, and then you proceed. And that seems to work pretty well for me because it gives it the feedback to learn from what needs approval and what it can do itself. And then it also keeps a log of everything. So if I notice something's not quite right, it can trace it down, figure out what went wrong, and then patch its rule set to proceed without falling into the same mistake again.
Okay.
I was watching the Greg Eisenberg, his latest podcast about Fable 5. I put a link in. But he was saying with Fable that each of the sub-agents it produces can have their own personality. And he was talking about producing content and then getting Fable to create a bunch of sub-agents with different personalities who then all rank and grade the content, what they think's good, what they think's shit, and basically hone it down to something good. And it looked quite impressive what he did. I'll stick a link to his YouTube in the chat, but I think it's worth watching his particular episode from him.
But I think it's
he's one of my favorite people, Greg Eisenberg.
I think it's important though to build out that workflow first before switching it to Fable. Because if you do the trial and error and building that workflow out with Fable, like even he said, I watch his stuff all the time. It's a token usage hog, right? So if you don't have the process down pat and you're building the process with Fable, you're going to turn around and the 5-hour limit's going to be hit and you couldn't even get through setting up the workflow. So my 2 cents would be set up the workflow agnostic of whatever model it's using. Then once you have it set up, then you could deploy it with Fable if you wanted to.
Speaking of token burning, I think, did you guys see just yesterday they released a new feature where sub agents can spin up now their own sub agents. There's always new things, but it's like I think I just kind of want to try each one as they come out and be like, does this do well?
Yeah, I've noticed too in Terminal that even though it's inclusive in your plan, have you guys noticed that it's starting to put dollar amounts next to usage with models? That's new for me.
Yes, it started doing that for me last night. And at first I thought, oh shit, is it charging me? And I checked, it wasn't. But every command, it was out. This was 10 cents. That was $4. I thought, oh, that's expensive.
I think they're doing that to warm people up to understand what the Fable usage is looking like quantifiably as a dollar amount so that they don't get shocked when they start to use it on an API.
Love it. Rob Green, I'd love to hear from you if you don't mind. How are you feeling about Fable versus Opus, and are you feeling a difference, a change?
I mean, it's better. I think a little bit better. I think it's the improvements are slight these days. I think really understanding the effort level along with the model is really important for people that are not heavy users because there are effort levels to control. And I think John said earlier about Ultra Code. I mean, Ultra Code will burn through even faster. I think the goal of what we're going to see here in the near future, and if you even think about this, Fable already does this. If you ask something that it gets flagged for, it reverts you back to 4.8, right? You're going to see model routing matter more than anything else because you're going to use the orchestration layer, or the high level thinking is going to use the best model. And then your worker bees are going to be, no offense to anybody, your Filipino employees doing the tedious basic work, right? Or the overseas employees doing the basic work. So I think it's a lot around orchestration and a lot around how do you route that to the proper model. Like I've got a bunch of local models I run also for like tedious work. But at the end of the day, I mean, burn through your tokens. I mean, use them. It's $200 a month. It's never going to be any cheaper for what it is. It's amazing. It's the cheapest thing ever, I think, from an ROI, as long as you know how to use it. So I think it's improved. It's better. I mean, but I use all the models. I'm model agnostic. I use the best model for the best scenario.
I tell you what I found. I made an app in Codex. I then had Opus 4.8 improve it. And then when Fable came out, I just gave it the GitHub repo and said, can you improve this? And part of its improvement actually was breaking it down to different model use through different sections. It didn't like Haiku because it didn't think it was actually good enough to do. But 2/3 of the process got dropped down to Sonnet. And then it recommended Opus 4.6 unless you didn't care about token use, and it would give you the option to use Fable. But also just some of the insights. It's an app for analyzing videos, so it takes frames, matches them the timestamp to the audio and the transcript. But one of its improvements, instead of taking single frames, it understood that you want to keep your token use down. And so it made 3x3 grids. So one image would have 6 frames on it. It then gave that to Sonnet to analyze those. It would get rid of anything that's just a talking head. It'd work out where the cutscenes were, what images actually had information on. So it may take 1,000 screenshots throughout that video, but only 11 or 12 actually get used for it to analyze. I then asked it to compare just the transcript and did it learn anything extra from the images, and it had learned a hell of a lot more that it hadn't got just from the transcript, because it was a video to do with trading, but obviously the trader's talking. But unless you could actually, the AI couldn't see the trading charts, it could see the charts, it could actually see his setup, it could see what he was actually doing, and suddenly it fully understood it. But it's just interesting that it actually knew how to improve from token usage without even being asked.
I think it's interesting too with token usage. If Fable's so good at doing all this kind of stuff, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Sonnet. I've been using Sonnet really heavy footed for a lot of like written content. But I'm also wondering, instead of running a whole entire thing with Fable, I think a lot of people also don't use plan mode as much as they should. I think plan mode is the most underutilized and underestimated kind of part of the tool, because what if you were to run plan mode with Fable builds out the entire plan, and then Opus 4.8 or even Sonnet goes and executes on it. It's interesting to see what that would look like compared to if Fable planned and then Fable executed. That's like an example that I'd want to see, because if Fable's really good at constructing the proper plan and blueprint, but like Opus is more than sufficient to go and execute on it, that's huge token savings right there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
I like talking about the plan feature. I don't know if you looked at Matt Pocock's kind of skill plugins. He's got one called Grill Me. It's very good. But if you're doing development, he's got a whole bunch of development skills, and they're worth just going and installing into Claude if you're making apps and coding. They're really good.
Yeah, like I don't come on these much. Sorry, I screen share all the time because I'm super visual. But I just wanted to say, so two things. So like Liz, like when you talked about like that flow for like the writing and stuff like that, this is like my skill to go through it. So it's interesting because like the dedupe or whatever it is, it'll go and check to see if any piece of content was written before, not to say the same thing again, right? And also pull out different angles, and you could see it's all really like granular with what it's doing. So this is like topic selection and then pulling it out and then generating this one, generating that one, an article and all that stuff, right? I'll share this with you, Liz. I'll just Slack it to you so you can have it.
Oh,
But
that would
like
be
this
sick.
is, and I have this set up separately from when I did it for Velocity because it just takes like an extra 1 or 2 steps just to connect the WordPress to it, which is like super easy. But like this is it right here. So it's just as long as you point it at what good looks like, because I do all the writing, like I fed it a whole bunch of my content. You have a ton of content, right? So you give it like
Yeah.
references of like, this is what good looks like, and then go out and scale it. It'll definitely work. But then the other thing is I have over here, I think someone mentioned it before. Is anyone doing session logs? Like saving session logs, like automatically?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So for me, I have these where it's like every single day it'll go in here and do like this, we did this, we did this, so that it's always having a log and somewhat of a context and concise memory so that I can always revert back and be like, okay, what do we do here? What do we do here? And it just makes it so easy. It's like a one-time setup. And it's just for me, I don't have to like query and be like, oh, what did we do yesterday? It's like, okay, cool. We did all this yesterday. Right. So I think that like little kind of things like that help people just make it better, because otherwise, if you didn't, you have to go query against it. You're wasting tokens and all that kind of stuff. So little like quality of life things. And you could see like I use an Obsidian because for me, like I use like the skill I have called like Gobble, which is insane, right? I can just grab anything. It goes right to my inbox, and nightly it's just going to process my inbox into my second brain. So my second brain is actually building out to be pretty comprehensive. Like before, it was just all separate dots. Now, because we're deploying like the YAML or the front mat or whatever it is, like everything is connecting where it needs to connect. So now it actually looks comprehensive and not just like a whole bunch of dots not connected. So like I can bring anything inside inbox and process it, and it's going to go and say, okay, cool, that article on Opus 4.8, it's going to live here. Here's the source. Here's everything you need to know. And here's what else it's related to. So that if I'm querying against it, like I don't need to like, it doesn't need to go out and find and search stuff. It's going to query against the knowledge that I've kind of baked in. So.
Yeah, I've started pulling in and looking at the JSON-L files for the Claude Code sessions just to be able to look back, or like I'll just tell Claude session to look at this other thread that that agent is doing. Um, it brings up an interesting idea of like, okay, so we have all these conversations stored of the past Claude. So like whenever a new model comes out, let's say if you have all the conversations stored that for projects that you're working on that Opus 4.8 executed, then it's kind of interesting to think about like could we just sort of rerun some of those or double check some of those with Fable and then see what improvements we can make? Like maybe you could run a loop that so it doesn't burn all your tokens, it just runs like once a day and just or once every other day and just checks some stuff here and there.
I think a lot of people are Fable's good, right? But Andrew, I think I showed you that example on our call yesterday that I was doing with Fable, where it's like, it's good, but I was in a basic chat on my phone. I wasn't in code, and I turned on Fable. I said, hey, create me 3 skills that are fully turnkey. And it was like, for doing X, Y, Z. And it was like, okay, cool, here you go. And I was like, no, check them again. You're Fable. You're a frontier model. Any issues? It found 4 issues, fixed them. I said, cool, check it again. I don't trust you. Found 2 more issues. I said, cool, check it again, Fable. Found another issue.
Did you see what those issues were though? Because I know a lot of times I'll do the same thing. I'll like keep going, keep changing, keep updating, keep fixing, and it'll find things, but they're not really
No,
things. They're like, oh, I decided I'm going to turn this comma into a semicolon. I'm like, that's not really an issue. Like that's
the last 2 or 3 were superficial. The first 2 or 3 were like critical that it couldn't work otherwise, because it was basing it off of my structure and my workflow for the first 2. And then it was like, oh, wait, you told me agnostic for anyone. Let me fix it that way. So that's why I'm as great as it is, it's still checks and balances.
nice. Love it. Cool. I had a fun thing. I thought I'm glad we had so much discussion. I'm always a little worried when I come on these things. I'm like, I hope people talk because I don't want this to be boring. This is not boring. So thank you guys for all talking. I made a little prepped thing I thought was kind of fun just to do a quick demo on Fable versus not Fable. I figured it'd be kind of fun to show. I demoed this I think it was like 2 months ago. This is just a free like API thing I set up. I was doing I thought it was kind of fun. I wanted to set up something that will just give you all of your top keywords and top competitive ASINs. Because I kept doing it over and over and over again. I was pulling in Helium 10 and Jungle Scout to pull in all this data. And I'm like, a lot of these things, like you do it over and over again. I'm like, I want to make something that actually does all this stuff. So I set it up a couple months ago. I feel like it wasn't that good. So in the last 2 days, I just told Fable, like, go fix it and make it way, way better. And it did. I was very excited about it. So it set it up so you can just get your API. Right? So you can put in get this API, and it just creates this API token for you automatically. And of course, I'm sharing this publicly, so I'm going to just delete that API credit key here at the end of this call. Please, no one smash it in the next 20 minutes before I kill it. But then you just copy that prompt and put it into Cowork here, right? And you don't have to read. I mean, yeah, you could read it and understand what's going on, but I just told it to do that. And then now we have keyword lookup. So this is basically a wrapper on Jungle Scout. So I have Jungle Scout's API set up, and it's kind of expensive. It's I think like $150, $200 a month for access to it, right? And I figured I'd just make this little endpoint, and for everyone here, you guys can all use it for free. And so what you do is it's all set up already, and I can just put in an ASIN here. So if anybody wants to share an ASIN, if you have an ASIN, we can just do a keyword lookup, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right. Who's the first person in the
Oh,
chat?
that's amazing. You said that's on a website? Because I would use the heck out of that.
I dropped I already put the chat here, or
Oh, I see it.
link in the chat. Did I? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah. So it's completely free. Free for as long as my API lasts. Hopefully it doesn't get too blasted in the next little bit.
I was gonna say if we were gonna, I mean, at some point, like if we're using it,
Yeah,
not to go crazy with it.
Yeah, it's the one reason why I set up the API key is if it gets used too much, I'm like, well, I'll have to just turn off some of these API keys. So
You're like, sorry guys, you're banned.
but I figured it's just a fun thing. I figured let me make this and see how people use it and see if it's something that's fun. Maybe I'll add a little small gate on it later. But I figured just open it free for you guys now. So somebody drop an ASIN in the chat. There we go. Perfect. All right. All right, Kari. So we're gonna I'll try dropping this in. Say, give me my top keywords for this ASIN. Be helpful if I spelled it right. There we go. And I've been playing with the last few days, and it seems to be much better. I'm very
Would have used a cheaper model than Fable 5 to ask that question, Andrew. Talk
I know,
about
right?
wasted credits.
I know. Good shout out. Okay, so it's calling the API here. Awesome. Again, I just copied this in. I didn't do anything crazy. It's a little technical because it's API key option install, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I don't really have to even see and understand all that stuff. And then it's just built in now. So now basically Jungle Scout's built in just for this component. And so it should hopefully work. Let's see. Of course, live demos are notoriously finicky. So we built this, which is really fun. And then my business partner, Brian, is here. And he was playing with a whole bunch of visualizations and all sorts of fun stuff in our MCP. And I thought it'd be really fun since he he sent me this like long, excited message a few days ago, like how excited he was to see it. And so I figured it'd be fun for him to show how his stuff is working also, or how our stuff is working he set up. Okay, hopefully it works. Let's see. And so just to give you guys a little context of how it's working while it's running here, I have my own process on how I get my top keywords. I mean, obviously there's a lot of like there's a little bit there's a little bit of art and a science to picking your top keywords, right? If you already have data for, all right, there we go. How does that look? Sorry.
It looks good. And actually, I was programming my Donna in Claude Code to go to Amazon this morning and pull the search term report and then schedule it so that it will send it to me every week and Ferdy. And so I was actually looking at those keywords and asking what keywords are we missing and what can we improve on, all that good stuff. What are we converting on? What are we not converting on? And it's just the way of the future. It's so awesome.
Awesome. Yay, exciting. I'm glad this worked. Okay, so live demos are always a little tricky. Glad it worked. And so the way that it figures out the top sales score, one thing I have a math background, so I always have this problem where I think like, okay, if I'm ranked number 2 for a keyword that's 1,000 searches a month, and number 10 for something that has 5,000 searches a month, and number 30 for something that has 50,000 searches a month, right? So like bigger terms or sorry, bigger volume, but I'm ranked worse. Which one's better? Is it better to be number 1 on 1,000 searches a month, or is it better to be number 10 on 10,000 searches a month? And so I did this big data analysis and I built out a sales score. And again, these are kind of giving you hints onto what's better. Just like everything, the data can take you 80, 90, 95% the way there. And then it's kind of like up to us that have this human and AI augmented stuff to kind of pick these terms, be a little smart about it, but at least gives you this top list here. And so here's the thing I find really interesting is that the algorithm is saying that number 8 on 22,000 searches a month is close to being number 38 on roughly 50,000 searches a month. So those have roughly the same score. And it's just kind of a fun way to like rank these things. That's how I've always done my keyword research. And again, like you always have to add that little human component, that last 10%. But I figure this is kind of a fun little tool that I could share with everyone here. And I'd love to get some feedback too on what you guys think of how well it's working.
So, and this is really interesting, and we've been really working on this product specifically because we have 1% of the brand conversions. And so there's, so much room for growth with that keyword. We're selling like $25,000 a month, and we're only 1% of the market. And so we're trying to grab those terms that we're not grasping. And even on the reports that I did this morning, like it was telling me that we're not converting on the word copper peptides. And then we need to add in different keywords that would be converting that we're not even looking at. And this is why we are not getting more of the market.
Yeah, love it. So I'm excited. We're going to start giving and then that's the thing is I find these AIs to be and they're incredibly smart, right? Like they're like stupidly smart, ironically. But they still have miss a little bit of that AI, the Amazon context, right? So like keywords need to be rooted in data. You can't really like LLM them. You know what I mean? Because I've asked like, what are my best PPC terms for this product? And it gives these really stupid, either like way too long tail with no volume or too short tail. It's just like too competitive. So that's why I like having it rooted in kind of our Amazon data.
Well, I was asking Claude before Fable when it was Opus, just about my Amazon PPC. And now it's confidently telling me to get rid of ad labs and stuff. As long as I've got my own personal API login to my Amazon account, as long as the agent doesn't go inside Amazon, I just pull the data through the API, it can replicate their day parting, which was the main thing I used ad labs for. So I've actually cancelled my ad labs account. And
Really?
yeah, it went through the data and it can definitely do it. So you can replicate a lot of these tools yourself for free and save yourself whatever you're paying a month for those. You know, some of them have got obviously some extras that you can't pull, and I guess you need, you know, the developer API, but you can still pull quite a lot through your personal one.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. It's like saying how much stuff we can do now.
People
Brian,
don't realize. Sorry, people don't realize
wait.
that.
Brian, I'd love to, if you're able to, I'd love for you to show your little visual, the MCP thing that you're setting up.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, I wanted to just show that this is a little bit showing off the software that we've been working on, the inventory here we've been talking about, but also just generally how you can start to sync up some of your various systems across your Claude instances, and then do like whole workflows all in one go. So let me share screen real quick. All right, we'll share this one. Super. Can you all see? I've got two tabs open here. These.
Yep.
Make these a little bigger so they're not too small to see here. So I've got Claude the desktop app running on the left, and I've got our website inventory here on the right. And two things I wanted to show. So we've built now an MCP server that runs on top of Inventory Hero, which essentially is like a tool that lets you just connect your AI, whatever AI system you're in. Currently, ours works with any Claude system, Claude Web, Claude Desktop, or Claude Code. And it can talk to Inventory Hero now. So you can like talk to your inventory, you can talk to your business. And so you can ask really generic things like, what's urgent in my Inventory Hero account? And it is pre-seeded with all kinds of intelligence. When it loads in here, we train it about how to manage inventory, how to run an ecom business. It has access to your real account. So it made the decision, hey, I'm going to go pull your inventory. I'm going to pull up critical things. I'm going to sort, show you what's going on. It starts to give you summaries. Are there any orders we should place today? And so you can, it's kind of like you have an employee who's able to look at and rationalize over all this information. And so this is fake data right now. This is not a customer's account. This is data that we generate to do testing and demos for, but it mimics a real functional account. And so you can see it's got real, it pulls out the products that are in a problem right now that need to be ordered. It's based on all of the real math that's going on inside of our system. This is not just an AI getting like a spreadsheet and making a bunch of decisions. It is calling like our real calculations that are quantifiable decisions about when to order and what to order based on minimum order quantities, lead times, and all of that is stored in our account. And one of the things I'm really excited about that we've introduced, and it's very, very early, but what do you know about Sally's MFG? So we've built in a memory system into Inventory Hero. So as you're using your AI, it will start writing memories about your business. So you don't have to deal with setting up something like Obsidian to start tracking how your business is working. So it's actually going to pull all the information about suppliers. It's going to look at the memory that we have stored in here. We have and this is entirely AI managed. So your AI talks to our system and it manages a memory for your business. And so it starts to build intelligence about your suppliers in here, not just the critical data that we actually store your suppliers in here. You can manage explicit information, but also start to build that more nuanced information about how do you deal with people? What's a decision log? What orders have you placed in the past? All of that starts to be in here. So just a little tease. I don't want to bury you guys and stuff, but this was something I've been working on with inventory here. That's really, really exciting for us. And the goal is to not have to deal with a SaaS app anymore. And so one of the things you can do is when you sign up for our application, if you don't want to go in and like click through a million things and enter a million pieces of information, you can you can just connect the MCP and say onboard me, and it'll start interviewing about your account. It'll start to ask you about your minimum order quantities. It'll ask you about your suppliers. You can upload an Excel spreadsheet of how you run your business, and it will parse it and then write that information over to Inventory Hero. So you can onboard entirely through your AI agent now and not have to go in and like click through a system. But then when you come over here, it will be in here. So it can be your dashboard for how you run and manage your inventory. You can see what's going on, but your agent is managing it. So that's where we're headed. It's early days. It's been really fun to work on, and we're getting so much really valuable feedback from all of you. Carrie, you've been wonderful. Thank you for all the time you've spent with us. So I'll pause there. I've been barfing on everyone. Oh, weird. I lost your audio.
Oh, sorry. I said, great. That was
There we go.
awesome. Great job, Brian. It was fun. Yeah, it's fun, guys. We're launching that app now, which is pretty exciting. So I'd love for you guys to try it out if you want to try it out. But outside of that, I'd love to hear from more people. Any other feedback on Fable or anything else going on in the AI space that people want to bring up?
Well, the video space is very interesting. I mean, Seedance, I'm not really using any other video models now apart from Seedance. It's fucking incredible. You know, you can make a movie with that thing if you had the budget. It's certainly not cheap, but if you're making adverts for your products, just hands down, just pick Seedance.
Have you had good luck with like converting PPC videos or Meta or whatever?
I'm working on stuff now where I'm having assistants to make YouTube shorts, Instagram, longer videos, which will go up to Amazon and up to other social platforms. And you still have to edit by hand. That's the only problem. I've not yet seen an AI that can string the videos together correctly. But just the quality of Seedance 2 is nothing comes close. Now, before I used to probably use VO the most, but I haven't even touched that for at least 4 weeks.
Jake, are you getting decent levels of reality when a person in the video holds your product? And does it mess all the type up still, as previous video generators have done in the past? It's been the main drawback for me to actually get the product into someone's hand and make it look real in a video.
Well, as long as you use a very good, I mean, I'll use Nano Banana Pro. I prefer that still to Nano Banana 2 because Pro will do better text recognition. And when I'm having it make an image, obviously we have all the PNG files for our labels and stuff. So when I'm loading up the examples of our product, I will also load up the PNGs of our labels. So Nano Banana Pro can see exactly what our label looks like. It can see the text. It will then replicate that product. And then in order to get the right size, once I've got my base image, say it's going to be a UGC style video, and we may think we're going to use this girl for 3 different products, they're different sizes. I just have a generic product in a hand from small to medium to large that matches what our particular product sizes are. And then I will tag that particular, the kind of JSON file for that particular start frame image. So every single object in the image has its own line of code, including the product. So I just have to say, whatever I've given the name to the product in a hand, change it to this. But then I'm showing it the image where the product is the appropriate size in the first place for our product. Because if you let it guess, it still screws up and gets it wrong. You'll give it something that's the size of a Coke can and it makes it the size of a bowling ball. But if you've pre-planned it before and you just got a whole test range of images where a generic object hits the right size. Now, if it's a can, you want the object that shape because obviously hands hold things differently if it's square, rectangular, triangular. So we just have a whole bunch of placement images and we can just literally tell the AI, change this line of code for this. Same, she's wearing a blue sweater. change that to a leather jacket. The actual, every single item of clothing that person's wearing is an individual line of JSON code. In fact, the entire image is broken down. There could be 200 different things in there. The AI will tell you that over 5 changes, it'll fuck up and won't make the changes. We've tested it out to 20 or 30 changes in a single go on an image, and it's generally fine. Just might have to kind of rerun it 2 or 3 times, and then it gets it. Then that's what goes into Seedance.
Right. I hadn't gone as far as changing the JSON code on that stuff, Jake, but all the reference image stuff I'm doing, but it's hit and miss.
Get your image, give the image to Claude, to a good model, and ask it to break down that JSON code for you. Tell it to be extremely detailed. You want every single element of the photo broken down into a JSON prompt. It will then do it, and then you can change absolutely anything spot on without any other aspect of that image changing. They then go up to the video editors, the video models, and you start to get very high quality, perfect video every single time.
What a great tip. Thank you.
One thing I always find really, Jake mentioned that Seedance is the best right now, and I generally agree too. And it's always funny. It's always interesting. Like, how do we know which model to use? Because they change so quick. It's like every freaking day, it's a new model is the best model. And there's this website that I absolutely love. I've shared it on this thing before, but it is called it's called arena.ai. And I'll share what it looks like. I love it because it's like there's all these models and benchmarks and all sorts of like things you can read and see or whatever. And there you go. It's in the chat. All these benchmarks, I'm like, I get it, like benchmarks are cool, but like they also kind of get hacked sometimes. And so this is just an A/B testing site where they show 2 different examples and somebody shows up. You can test it yourself if you want to. I don't really care to test it myself, honestly, but you can do this. And it will do like an A/B test and it'll ask people like, which model do you prefer? What I care about is the leaderboard. And here it'll show you who's leading based off of like just random people showing up the internet and A/B testing it, right? So it has 3 different subsets: text to video, image to video, and video edit mode. And that actually surprises me. It says that text to video, that Gemini, I guess I haven't used the Omni model yet. Maybe that's why there's a difference there.
The Omni's good. You can put live video, go and film something on a real camera, put it in, and then start adding visual effects to it, and it's very impressive.
They're gonna need to put like video to video here now. But so it says right now, I guess right now, I mean the scores are so close, right? But you can see that like it's clearly, Gemini and Seedance are kind of neck and neck, and I guess iBabas is also neck to neck here too. And then image to video and video editing. Seedance is winning for video editing, and for whatever reason, I guess Google's not even on the top few here.
Well, I can tell you for a fact, the only models for video that you want to touch, number 1, Seedance, 2, VO 3.1, it's still good, and Kling 3.0, and then totally forget any of the others, unless you've got maybe some really kind of unique, specific thing you want to do, like in Runway or something, but just VO, Seedance, and Kling 3.0, they're the only 3 you should use.
For as of June, right? That's why I'm always like, well, what is it like in July? And I heard that in April, but is it true now? That's why I like this leaderboard thing. And also, they just added this feature I really like where they, for making images, you can see the best image model, which is ChatGPT right now. But I just noticed this just this morning. They added a feature specifically for us. Product branding and commercial design. So like actually images for products. ChatGPT still wins in this, but I felt seen when they added the product stuff. So image to text. So anyways, I love this website. Awesome, guys. Cool. Well, we're just past the hour here. Just wanted to kind of any last remarks, any last like fun things to share or ask questions on before we.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. As Trevor's on here and he actually released that branding book, I presume, Trevor, you've run that through the AIs to create a whole bunch of skills based on your own book, so it
Yeah,
can
yeah, I
automate it.
have, and I'm building an app at the minute, Jake, with Matthew, who's on the call, and we're taking the principles of the book and building a set of tools that the user can actually implement on their own brand, uh, with about 40 years worth of personal experience of mine and a vast reading list on the topics involved. And we've got some exciting stuff happening, and I'm going to share it with some of you guys as an alpha test, hopefully pretty soon. Matt is nodding there. Hopefully
I,
pretty soon, and get your feedback.
I tell you what I've seen recently, because obviously when OpenClaw come out, everyone's putting skills on GitHub. They're all for free, but you are starting to see paid skills and stuff a lot more. Someone I know, they've just released a site called authority.md, where they've obviously gone through about 400 or 500 books, like biographies of Elon Musk and different people, and produce SkillMD files based on that person's personality. And they charge $4.99 per skill. But it's quite interesting. You then load that into your AI to say, right, I want Elon Musk's perspective on this business idea in technology. But they
That's
haven't
really
given them
exciting.
out for free. Yeah, I think it's quite, how well they
Yeah.
work, I don't know, because I've not tried them. And the guy is a very well-known SEO guy here in the UK. But I thought it was a very good idea, but they've monetized it. So rather than say, oh, here's free, no, it's making money. And I've seen this a lot more often. I presume some very tailored skills are probably all going to start becoming paid fairly soon.
Yeah, what we're trying to do with the app, Jake, is get beyond just simple skills, and provide an entire tool that unless you know what you were doing in that space with the behavioral psychology, you would soon be in the weeds, because obviously we want to get a paid product out of it. So what we're going in a slightly different direction. Rather than sell individual skills based on the book, we're creating an app which is a tool set, which effectively has an AI version of me that will help and guide you through your various strategic questions and challenges and issues, and will assess your brand. There's a diagnostic attached to it. There's some other clever stuff that is emerging every time Matt and I have a conversation. And the question is, I guess, for everyone, is where do you stop? And where do you say, okay, this needs now to go into the market to get used and get some feedback? Because we can do this stuff forever, can't we? Or just one more thing, and let's just try this and let's just try that. So today we've been trying to define what the scope is, for the next sprint on it, so that
I
we
think
can get.
it's really interesting when you think about skills and the whole marketplace for them, because they've been all free, and then the big question is like, how do I know which one works? So now it's just going to mature as a market, and I think people are going to look to like different signals, like, okay, how credible is this person who's selling these skills? And then that is going to help kind of, there's going to be all these different signals of quality, like the Arena website, for example. And then people are just going to look at a few things and be like, okay, it's cost this much, cool. And then they're just going to make their decision. And then if it works, they'll use it. Or, I mean, they'll try out free ones. And then if one of the free ones works, then why pay for anything, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that whole market evolves.
Yeah, and I've just been building a website to support the proposition, and I've been doing it in Claude and Chat GPT, and bouncing one off the other, and I'm getting them to mock it up in HTML. And I've just run the HTML file, the latest version, through Arena, Andrew. So I wasn't aware of Arena before, and it has critiqued the website and the proposition for the forthcoming app very positively, I'm pleased to say. And it's made some suggestions for for tightening it up a little bit. So this looks like a new addition to my tool set. I really like the way that it went about it.
If you put in like open design and awesome design into your Claude, just as you can produce some much prettier websites, because if you're doing website design, I mean, open design is basically just a copy of Claude design, but it's not going to kill your token usage.
So I'm not familiar with that, Jake. What's open design?
They basically copied Claude design, which is just will kill your daily limit in one go. And they've gone and analysed like 100 different websites, Apple, people like that. So you can say, well, I quite like Apple's design. So they've downloaded the design MDs. You've got the colour scheme, the fonts, the size, the layout, and then it will make a site for you that looks like Apple's site, or Ferrari's, or Shopify's, or anyone's site. And it's a completely free repo just on GitHub. There's open design. You can go onto YouTube. You see plenty of YouTubers have posted videos about it.
So is that opendesign.ai or something like that?
I don't think they've even got their own website. It's just a GitHub repo. If you just go onto YouTube, put in open design Claude, and you'll see all the videos come up.
This one has 64,000 stars. This looks like a pretty popular one.
I think that's probably the one. There's also awesome design as well, and I think open design is a kind of fork off of awesome design, and they're both very good. They're worth installing, playing around with.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Thanks, Jake.
Check it out. I'll drop the link here in the chat. Cool guys, we're just past the hour now. I'll call it there just to keep these calls nice and concise. But thank you all for coming and sharing all the stuff. I hope you learned a lot. And again, I'm trying to get lots of smart people to come, talk, discuss, share, show it's working, critique, whatever, while also trying to make it very approachable to everyone. So I hope that's the goal, and I hope we did that today. So thank you all for coming, and we'll probably do another one maybe end of June or so, because these are all super fun. So take care.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.